Hey everyone, thanks for watching this new video. So as you all know, I try to focus on making teams that are generally more available while checking out Pokemon that are, pretty easily accessible. This week, there's a spotlight hour going on for Cubchoo tonight for myself. I think for some of you out there, it's already happened at this point. So I wanted to really try to make a team around Beartic. Now, I actually don't know if the Cubchoo that is coming out later tonight will have a ribbon or not. I really hope it doesn't, because the ribbon one is really not useful. It can evolve for whatever reason it may be, and it doesn't even look that cute. I have two shiny ones. I don't know why. It is what it is. Anyhow, let's get to the team. So the team we have today is going to be a combination of Beartic in the front with Surf and Ice Punch, both which are actually really good. The covers are going to be anti-water types, because basically Beartic really can't handle a water type, a fighting type, or a fire type. So the second Pokemon of choice for the core is going to be a Lanturn. Lanturn covers the fire types really well, it covers the water types really well, and last but not least, of course, covers the fighting types okay. The last Pokemon is another safe switch against both water types and fighting types. This is going to be my Galvantula. Now, Galvantula is really good because it has Lunge and it has a lot of priority in terms of actual CMP types. This is the reason why I chose him as the last pick in the team. While testing this team, I realized the biggest weakness it had actually wasn't type matchups so much. It was actually more the type of teams you would go against. If you went against really aggressive fast move teams like Charmers, Razor Leafers, or like Rock Throwers, it may be a bit of a problem. But for the most part, it actually had a lot of good play outside of that. Anyhow, let's get to some battles over here. So in game 1, we're met with a Alolan Ninetales. This would be a Charmer, I think, which isn't really good for me at all. It's actually terrible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to basically get out one Surf and then probably bounce out of this fight. Naturally, because this is literally my first time playing this, I'm going to click Ice Punch because I'm really bad at the game. Anyhow, go for Surf, don't go for Ice Punch in this matchup. So I switched into my Galvantula, and they actually got a full Charm off there, which is really bad for me. At this point, I'm trying to figure out whether or not my opponent is willing to block the second charge move. I'm pretty sure my Discharge will take out the Ninetales here, so I'm going to go for Discharge here instead of trying to go for a Lunge in hopes that they don't block it. So they don't block the charge move, and I'm going to go ahead and get my last Volt Switch over here, and I'm going to blind toss this Lunge over here. It doesn't matter what comes up, I'm hoping to just make it so that my next Pokemon can go ahead and survive as much damage as possible here. And then ends up being a Lapras. Discharge probably wouldn't be better, but I'll take the Lunge still, actually, because it's fine. I'm trying to wait the timer as much as possible because I know that my switch clock isn't up just yet. They bring in their Jellicent, which means that I'm finally in an okay position. My opponent only can take one Thunderbolt over here. If they take one, I'm going to switch into my Bear and go ahead and just do some extra chip damage while letting it soak any type of charge damage over here. This should be a Bullet Beam, it might be a Shadow Ball. Either way, I want to actually let this Beartic die as quickly as possible. They Shadow Ball, I don't know why. They really shouldn't there, because it allows me to get some extra energy on my Lanturn over here. At this point, I need to make sure that I block the Skull Bash, or block one of their moves, and then go straight for two Thunderbolts. At that point, this game will be over. They should have just enough for a Skull Bash over here. I'm going to block it because I don't want to take Skull Bash damage, and I'm not going to take to a second Skull Bash before I get to another Thunderbolt. Here comes the second Thunderbolt. And there goes game 1. Game 2, I get another really bad lead. It's Beartic versus Lapras, and Lapras basically resists everything that I do over here, so I have to switch right away into my Galvantula. They respond with Altaria. In this position, what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to bait the first one, because if they block it, great. If they don't block it, it's fine. In this situation, I know that the first one went through, so now it's in prime position for my Beartic to actually farm down. This second move I'm going to do over here, I want them to think that I want to win switch over here, but I'm actually going to go for the bait in a second. That way they block it, and I get to make sure that I have less damage coming onto my Beartic as it comes out. With Lunge damage on, my Beartic can actually farm it down without taking too much damage. What's really bad for them is I'm able to get a second lunge out over here, meaning that they had to either let it go or expend their shield. They let it go, which is okay. This allows me to bring out my good old-fashioned Lanturn and go ahead and get some pressure here. They finally respond with their Marowak, which is something I don't really want to see, but because of the amount of pressure that Lanturn has against it, it actually will really help out over here. I go straight for the Hydro Pump, which they don't block, and now I'm going to go ahead and win that matchup because Lapras really loses against Lanturn. I probably tested this team at a really bad time because the third game I actually go into Vigoroth, another bad matchup. So I switch into Galvantula right away to go ahead and start getting some energy. I'm going to block their first Body Slam and go straight for the Lunge. I actually get Lunge off first because it looks like they weren't going to actually go for an early guaranteed Body Slam. They went for the CMP tie, which is fine with me. So I snuck in a Volt Switcher, which is huge for me. I'm going to go and take this Body Slam because it is reduced damage, and I'm going to go ahead and let my Galvantula die to whatever comes out. At this point, I'm going for the Lunge here because I want it to basically reduce the damage that's coming from the Frostlass. This is so my next poke can get extra farm without worrying so much about taking too much damage. I was a little surprised they didn't block that. We're at a point where my Lanturn can actually completely farm down the Frostlass over here. The Powder Stones are doing virtually 0 damage, and on top of that, the Shadow Ball is the only threat that I have, but it is reduced Shadow Ball, so I don't need to worry about taking too much damage from that either. There, it didn't take out half my health. Now my Lantern is almost full in energy, ready to fight whatever comes out. You can see my opponent's trying to wear out that clock a little bit so they can switch faster. Finally, to Sableye, I should have thrown my Thunderbolt a little sooner, but I wasn't super familiar with how much the max energy was on the Lanturn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to catch the foul play, which I successfully do. It's great for me. I don't need to block this because honestly, my Beartic isn't very useful for the rest of the match. It's going to easily go down to counters over here. So I just want to get one Ice Punch or one Surf over here to get the last shield. If I don't take it out, no big deal. At the end of the day, I actually want this to not die, and I want to kill my Beartic as quickly as possible. This is to avoid a farm down, which it still got on me. At this point, I'm racing this Sableye to 2 moves over here. I know that I'm a little ahead of energy on them, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this second Thunderbolt before they get 2 foul plays. Let's see if they have that foul play, and they don't, so I can go ahead and get this Thunderbolt over here, and I'm pretty sure it's going to take it out. There goes game 3. That was a nail biter. In game 4, we get another relatively bad matchup. It's not as bad as the previous ones because I can actually get a Surf off and it's fine. But I switched directly into my Lanturn and they actually counter with a double counter. It's a Trevenant, which is just terrible for me. I have no play against Trevenant at the moment with this team. At this point, what I'm going to try to do is get as much chip damage off as possible, hopefully 2 Thunderbolts, and then I'm going to farm it down with my Beartic. If I farm it down on Beartic, I should have Surfs available for the Marowak that will come out, and at that point, I should be able to take it out pretty easily and put enough pressure on. Here's the second Thunderbolt. And they don't block that one in, which is great for me. They're going to try to, I think, farm down my... Oh, no, they don't. They throw a Seed Bomb here, which is the correct play because it's so low that I can't actually farm it down too much. And they should have enough energy to throw a single charge move against my Beartic. Now, one thing to briefly mention is that Beartic is really squishy. It really can't afford to take the Seed Bomb over here. With that down, I'm going to try to go for a Surf and then I might switch depending on the situation here. They're once again waiting that clock out a little bit. Out comes the Marowak. I go straight for the Surf. They should block this. They should know it's a Surf, but let's see what they do. It does become blocked. My opponent knows that they can't just go ahead and take the Surf damage at this point. If they're going to throw here, I'm going to go ahead and block this just in case it's a Shadow Ball. And it ends up being a good old-fashioned Bone Club, which makes me feel bad because I didn't need to block that at all. They bring out a Wigglytuff, which is basically going to sign the rest of this game because I have no way to stop this Wigglytuff at the moment. If I even am able to do that, they can go ahead and respond with their last Pokemon, the Marowak, against my Beartic, and they're going to have a shield up. So no way I can really win this game, unfortunately. What's funny about this game is that I actually had a little more play than I thought. Basically, that Wigglytuff got off one extra charm against my Galvantula. If that didn't go through, I might be in a little different position, but even then, it would still be pretty close. What my opponent most likely would have done is they would have likely gone ahead and farmed down my Galvantula, and it would still have a charge move against my Beartic still. In game, I finally get a decent lead. It's a Golbat, so I'm going to go straight for the Ice Punch, but they switch into Vigoroth. I know over here that the Vigoroth can actually technically beat the Galvantula in a 3-shield scenario or 2-shield scenario, so I'm going to get one Ice Punch off, and I'm going to then bring in my Galvantula afterward. The reason I do this is because I know that all 3 of my Pokemon have pretty solid play against the Golbat, so it's fine. Now I'm going to get one extra Volt Switch in there because I want to get extra energy against whatever might come out. This Lunge will probably take out the Vigoroth. I underfire, but it doesn't really matter. They respond with a Diggersby, which isn't great for me. I'm going to go ahead and let whatever attacks that the Diggers want to go through, and I'm just going to toss out as many lunges as possible over here. And this is so that my Beartic can come out and try to farm down as much as possible. Looks like my battles are too hot for this phone. So they tried to get a Fire Punch, it didn't take me out, that's okay. I'm getting another Lunge off over here, which is pretty important because at this point they either need to start blocking or they're going to switch over to this thing. So when they switch into the Golbat, I switch to my Lanturn, and at that point they know the game is over, so they go ahead and concede. And there goes game 5. So I did try out this team a little bit later on. I think that Lapras is probably a better spot for this than Beartic, but I actually had more success with Beartic, and I think the reason for that is because getting to that Surf one move earlier is super important. It does put a lot of pressure on because it has both an Ice move as well as a Water move, both of which have great coverage. In my personal belief, I actually think that Beartic has a lot more play than I gave it credit for originally. I really thought it wasn't going to be that good, but it ends up has pretty solid play. Another option you had for charge move was going to be Play Rough, but I didn't use that because I felt that the charging was taking too long to get to. Both Surf and Ice Punch do solid damage and only take 5 Powder Stones each. Because of that, I stuck with that instead. Let me know what you guys thought of the team. If there's another Pokemon that you want to see get featured, let me know, and I'll do what I can to make it happen. Anyhow, I wish you all the best luck in the Battle League.